Hey Monty, how's it going?
Good, Ben. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again. How are things going?
Good, good. Things are going well. Yourself?
It's good. How's your voice feeling today?
My voice is feeling fine. I'm not gonna lie. I'm having some like um my asthma's kind of flaring up a little bit today, but nothing too major. I can still breathe. Still, everything feels fine.
Good, good. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Hope things clear up a little bit for you. I know allergies are a little crazy out there and just everything that's in the air has people feeling differently. So,
Yes.
we'll just make sure that you take nice, deep, supported breaths in between each exercise we do. So,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
So great. So I'm super excited to work with you today. We're going to talk just a little bit more about posture like we did last week, and then we're going to just jump right into warm ups. I really want us to focus on the higher notes, and I want us to kind of have a conversation about what we're hearing and kind of see where we can grow in what we want out of those high notes. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so, can you tell me what we talked about with posture last week?
So I remember that, I sound better whenever I am able to just look outright. You know what I mean? I plant my feet and all that stuff. Um, Yeah, that's what I remember.
Good, good, good,
Just
good.
back, relaxed.
Yeah.
I also remember you had mentioned about my jaw. That's what we were focusing on last time.
Yeah. Really keeping that jaw nice and loose and relaxed.
Yes.
Um, so I wanted to add one more thing on. I just wanted to clarify what we talked about last week. We kept talking about I wanted you to get the sound of the front of your mouth in your
Yes.
mask. I wanted you to have it placed where it was more warm, okay, inside your mouth, in the
Hmm.
front of your mouth, not so much bright as, um, sounding like this. Not so spread. I think you can get a bright voice without spreading it like this all the time. So, and we can look at that during the warm ups as well. Okay. I just wanted to let you know if I confused you last week on that. Wanted to kind of explain that to you. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So we're going to work on some higher notes today. We're going to start you down here. I want you to go. I want you just to do that on a lip buzz. How do you feel doing the lip buzzes? Do you like those?
Yeah, they feel fine.
Cool. I'm trying to just get your jaw loose, your lips relaxed and moving. But something I've noticed, and I notice it here as well, when you go, brrr, I don't know if it's the pitches. Can I play the pitches with you real quick? I want to see something.
Sure.
Is this loud enough for you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And I've gone into my falsetto. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's great. Wow. Yeah, your higher register sounds really good today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. No, great. Okay. So you really felt the sound hitting the tip of your mouth, though?
Mm, yes.
Did you feel that? Okay, great, 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 great. So that's just a good exercise that I use again, just to get my jaw loose, to really feel where I want the sound in front of my mouth. As far as I was talking last week about getting it to the front of your mouth without making it
Mm,
bright. There's a difference between it being bright and then getting it to the front of your mouth. So I wanted to make
got
sure that you understood the difference, since again, I didn't explain it last week. So does that make sense? Do you feel that?
It does, and I think that that's something to explore. I've had previous voice teachers that have taught me, that having singing in my mask has a lot to do with my lip placement, and so maybe this might, offer some conflict. So I just wanted to, push that out there.
Yeah. No, 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 that's fine. We might have to work through things, and that's what we're here to do.
Yeah,
So here we go.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. So can we? We're gonna do an exercise we did last week. Yeah. So we're gonna do what we did last week, where we started on 1 to 5 to 1. So we
Okay.
went. Okay.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
But what I want to try differently is, uh, can you do a vocal fry for me on the first note? Do you know what vocal fry is?
I do, but um, I have never experimented with it. Can you tell me about how to
Yeah,
access it?
yeah. So vocal fry is like that morning voice
Yeah.
that we tend to have, or at least for myself, baritones and basses have it all the time. It's just our our normal voice. For tenors, I would say, I would say you can have it when you wake up as well, and it might happen when you're feeling a little bit under the weather. But it's when you wake up,
Okay.
and it's when you wake up and you're going, this feels.
Uh,
Yeah, so you know what I mean?
oh, okay.
Like that's
Yeah.
what vocal fry is.
I've always been taught that it's bad. I've never played with it before.
So yeah, so I thought it was all bad too, and then I realized that it
Yeah.
can help you with your onsets,
Huh.
and just your placement. Because if you think about it, do that vocal fry for me real quick. Just go. Okay, what do you notice right away in your throat?
I don't feel anything in my throat. It just feels kind of there.
Right, which
Yeah.
means you're not lifting your hard palate, or you're not lifting your soft palate, and you're not raising your larynx. Do you feel it? It sits down here.
Interesting. Hmm.
No, no, no. Go experiment with it just for a minute. Sure, sure, sure. Just do that.
Yeah. Interesting. I know I had a problem before about lifting my soft palate, and so that's why I'm playing around with my nose to see if I can feel it, like the
Yeah,
vibration going up there. And I confess I can't tell the difference between vocal fry and that.
that's no, no, no. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's simply just to feel you're not. Nothing's lifted back there.
Okay.
Now you're right. You don't want to sing that way, but just to hit. Uh,
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 uh. So I'll explain it better. I'm not. The first, what you're going to do is that first note. You're
okay.
going to go, so instead of going, ah, just do an ah for me. Go, ah.
Ah.
You feel it lifted?
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead, you start off the onset we talked about. You're going to go,
Uh,
ah.
kind of like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's just to see. how relaxed you can get in your throat.
Okay.
Okay. So I want us to do those warm ups just a little bit to see how we feel. Again, on those onsets, um, just so we can see if we could get the placement on those first notes more secure,
Sure.
and so we feel like we are more relaxed in our throat. That's what I really want.
Mhm.
On that first note, I really want you to feel like nothing's lifted or raised at all. So you want to experiment with that sound. Um,
Interesting. I feel like I can access it in my lower range, but I don't know if I can access it in the key that you put it in up there. Uh,
no, no,
I
no,
don't
it's just that. So,
but down there I can I think I can get it in the lower range, but I don't know if
right.
I can get a vocal fry one and then a good and the rest of them with a raised soft palate
Cool.
in
Yeah.
the higher part. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, 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 no. It's just fun to experiment with it, though.
Yeah,
Again, it's just all about the
it is.
onsets and also trying to find a space where, yeah, vocal fry is not good. You don't want to talk or sing like that, but it's just
Yeah.
simply the fact that your throat's so relaxed at that moment
Yes.
that it should make us think that, okay, the rest of the notes are going to have that much kind of space as well. That's what I'm going for.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. That
Yeah, yeah,
click
yeah,
now. Click. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha. Gotcha.
yeah. That's what I'm supposed to go to. Why don't you just experiment with it again and see what happens? Just do whichever you want.
Interesting. Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so there I noticed something interesting. Okay. So the first, I think, two ones that I did, I felt like, okay, I can kind of feel what you're just talking about, where that vocal fry has kind of a freedom in it. It feels really loose in that moment, and then I'm like, okay, keep that same feeling as I go up. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then as I got into the one I just did, I was going up, and I think by the three, I was like, okay, I can feel a tension now. I'm aware of this tension as I'm ascending. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, no, 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 that's great. That's funny because that's kind of what I'm building towards in the next exercise. So
Mm,
I want us to be able to get through the first four notes so you can enjoy the fifth note. Okay.
fascinating.
But I don't want you to hyperphonate. So I don't want you to feel like you're, hitting it out of the park. You know, I like those high notes that we love to hit.
Yes.
No, I wanted to, again, I wanted to have the same relaxed that you did the first one, and I wanted to have enough support that you're not having to overcompensate on the fifth one. So what I mean is,
Okay.
so sometimes I'm hearing, he, he, let's see, he, he, so I don't want you to, I feel like it's getting pushed so much that there's tension in your throat that I can hear.
Fascinating. Okay. Okay.
So ah. So, it's like it's not going, I feel like it's not in a relaxed space enough. So I want to
Mm,
see what happens.
okay.
Remember this.
Yes.
So I want to see what happens with that though. But in turn, that feeling that you felt when you were going up on this, with vocal fry, how relaxed you felt in that third note, you start to feel a little tension.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to feel like you have to, I don't want you to feel like you have to blow a lot of air out when you get to that fifth note. I want you to be able to sing some until the end so you can sing through the phrase.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so. Um, so what do you mean by so by the end I should have some breath left over after the five.
Hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the first
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
And then so
I don't want you to feel like I don't want you to feel, and I think we've talked about this a couple times. I just don't want you to feel like you have a big natural voice. You have a big natural sound. Um, so I don't want you to feel like that you have to, when you get to that note that you know is in your sweet spot or
Mhm.
even on the higher range, I don't want you to feel like you have to just sing it as loud as you want. Or I'm not saying you individually, but some students or some professionals will think, okay, I'm in my sweet spot or I'm in that spot of unknown. I'm just going to sing it as loud as I can so I know it's supported. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. So you want me to not think that way?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I want the same
And
kind of
so
energy you have on the first note to be on the fifth note.
hmm, okay.
All right.
Okay.
We're just going to do the same thing.
Gotcha.
We'll start. How about, is this okay?
Ah, Can we do that one again?
Yeah, you don't have to do the vocal fry anymore.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
Ah, 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 ah.
What was the huh? What'd you feel?
So I'm feeling kind of what you're saying. I can feel what we're working away from, where I'm like, okay, that part is like one of those. I know how to hit that. That's like how I hit it normally, and now we're working away from that. So I'm like, okay, there it is. Now how do we get away from it? You know what I
Right.
mean?
So you
Yeah.
can feel that you're like going into third gear and you're hitting it as loud as you can because you know how to do it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yes, that's the one.
Great,
That's the
great,
way.
great, great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep going up the scale. I think we
Okay.
were
Ah, 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 ah.
one more.
Yeah. Ah.
What'd you hear in that last one?
Interesting. Ah.
Or what did you feel, if
It
anything?
just feels like I don't know. It just feels like the five is just in a different realm than the rest of the four. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it just feels like it's in a completely different part of my voice. I think that people talk about the head voice and the chest voice and all that, and I feel like it's in the mix. You know what I mean? That's where I feel like I default whenever I have to hit a high note. You know what I mean? Where it's not quite up there, but it's not quite down there. It's somewhere in between. But the rest of them feel like just mix, just. That's what it feels like. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. No, no, and it can be mixed, but just realize that you can have the same relaxation and the
Okay.
same sensation you do on 1 through 4 when you do at 5 when you mix it.
Hmm.
And I have that same problem. I'll get up there and often I feel that pressure right there, that tension, and then I have to back off and I have to go, and I know that it's the problem is I can feel my tongue
Hmm.
fall back and my throat. So I really have to
Interesting.
make sure that I keep my tongue out or at least in a relaxed
Mhm.
position so it's not doing this. It's doing that.
Yes.
And
It's
I
like
think
pushing against your bottom teeth,
yeah, and
correct?
I think that's what happens when a lot of us get to those higher ones, you know what I mean? And that's the breaking point right there for me too because this it's still that pressure back there that you hear.
Interesting. Here, could I try that?
Yeah.
Hey, ah. I don't know. I feel like there is some kind of pressure in my throat that is not the tongue. I feel like because I've worked with the, tongue previously, I'm making sure, the placement of it doesn't cause any tension. But even then, I'm like, if sometimes it still feels like there's tension back there that I can't quite put my finger on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
That's something to look at for next week, just to think about. We're looking at now the throat
mhm.
portion of our posture, and we're thinking about vocal fry and the morning relaxation of and so keeping that same relaxation there. So that's
Gotcha.
something to think about. Man, yeah, your high notes sound really good today.
Thank you.
Yeah, they really, really
Might be
do.
my asthma. I don't know.
Well, you know what they say sometimes when one part of her body's not working, the others overcompensate, and so I don't know.
Possibly.
It sounds really, really good though. So I'm really happy with
I
that.
appreciate it.
How did the higher notes feel though throughout that?
They felt good. They felt fine. You know what I mean? I think that.
Did you
Oh, there
find
we go.
yourself working a little less though?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
100%. It just feels like what we mentioned earlier, which is I feel like I just go into third gear when I go into my high notes.
Right, right. And I'm saying and I think we're discovering now that that's not necessarily what you have to do all the time.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Great. So, okay, do you want to work on your waving through the window song?
Sure. Sure.
Do you want to sing that same little section through I'm waving through a window.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we doing vowels again? Or are we just singing
Oh
through?
no, nope, nope. There were
Okay.
too many vowels in that. That was a horrible idea. So no, we're just gonna say the words.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um,
Alrighty.
so this time, what's one thing that we're gonna remember from last week, and what's one thing we're gonna remember from what we just did that we can use to make this sound nicer to us or to what we want?
So I think that we can think about the posture from last week. Think about that. Making sure that all of this is relaxed. I remember before we had mentioned about how I tend to hold a lot of tension in my chest, and so maybe easing up on that a little bit and just focusing on the line, the string that holds me up. And then I also imagine that for this week, to tie on what we've been learning, there's a lot of high notes here. So maybe thinking about not what is the word you used or the phrase you used? It was not overshooting them, not overblowing them,
Yeah, not overblowing them. That would
not
be
overblowing them. So maybe
hyperphonation.
hyperphonation. So maybe not hyperphonating on them. Um, and yes, I think that
Yeah.
there's one more that I had in my mind that I was keeping a thumbtack on, but it's gone.
No, that's great. I liked everything that you said. I would expand just a little more on the hyperphonating part and just keeping a nice, open, relaxed throat. I think that's what we that I think that's how I would sum it up as well. So
Gotcha.
just
Perfect.
feeling like centered in that natural position throughout the song. So, all right, I'm ready. Well, if you have it pulled up.
I do have it pulled up. Can you hear it all right? Okay. I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make a mistake, before I leave with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing to share. No, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for the answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window.
Cool. All right. Sounded good. I liked it. Can we, when we sing it this time, um, can we take what we discussed about Little, where we want to sing through, when we did and I wanted you to sing through to the five all the way down to make sure you had enough energy for all the notes or enough sound for all the notes.
Yes.
Can we do that for the beginning of this? And can you add learn to slam on the brake before I even turn the key? Can you add on a little vibrato at the end of every phrase in the beginning?
Okay. Sure.
And then do this when you do it. So I learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key. And you can hold the notes. So hold the note out a little, hold the last note out a little longer. Make it a full quarter note
Okay.
and add on a little vibrato. We'll
Perfect.
just do that beginning.
I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make the mistake, before I lead with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing to share. No, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Because I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for the answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window.
How'd you feel?
Um, it just feels, I don't know. I feel like I'm holding it out for too long. Um, but maybe that's, if we're playing around with that idea, I think it's interesting. I think that it's really illuminating a problem I have with endings, which is that I feel like, okay, um, I learned to slam on the brakes. Like getting that ending and hitting it there. I think I noticed it as well when we were doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, the descending down just feels like,
Right.
and my vibrato feels too wide and all that stuff. And I'm thinking about my vibrato too much. And so that's what I feel. It feels like, even with the I learned to slam on the brake. And another way that I've been working on is that I feel like um, when I get to my vibrato, I slam into my vibrato's like space. You know what I mean? I learned to slam on the brake.
So no, no, that's all good stuff. I appreciate you telling me all that. I wanted you to experiment with it because I wanted you to see how you felt singing through the phrase by keeping the same amount of energy through it. So I wanted
Okay.
you to sing that vibrato because that meant in your mind, okay, I have to be able to get to the vibrato. Do the vibrato, I need more air support. So I cannot throw away all the air support on note five. Okay. So that's what I wanted you to discover and figure out.
Okay.
I don't,
Okay.
you know what's interesting though? That wobbly vibrato, that wasn't wobbly. That was right on. There was nothing wrong about that. I felt like you had more energy in your phrases because we had you do that vibrato.
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean stylistically vibrato is appropriate here, but that just means that you're allowed to add on a little bit of that same concept to make sure you can get through all the phrases.
Gotcha.
If I were you, not if I were you, why did I say that? I would go home, or you already home. So spend this next, week and a half before we meet again,
Mhm.
experimenting with vibrato at the ends of phrases. So I learned to slam on the brake, or is it I learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make a mistake. Before I even the worst of me. Even just adding on that little at the end, what does that do for it? How does that make you feel? What does that sound like to you? So
Fascinating.
I would say that would be so that can be your homework. Just experiment with vibrato at the ends of the phrases. Okay.
Okay.
So experimenting between hitting it right away and easing into it. You'll do a slight crescendo to get into the vibrato. Break.
Break.
Key.
Key.
Yeah, yeah. So experiment with that,
Okay.
um, and we'll meet in another week and a half. So
Okay.
um,
Perfect.
go back and continue working on making sure you can enjoy those high notes, trying to keep that nice, open, relaxed jaw that you got from that vocal fry, and
Gotcha.
making sure that you're not hyperphonating. Okay.
Hmm.
Great.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, Monty, this was fun. I will see you soon.
Thank you, Ben. All
All
right. I'll
right.
see you. Bye.